are live. It's actually really good. Cool. I think it's just our talk regarding the Adobe stream. Anyway, let's bring this in. All right, so we are live. Hello and welcome back to the channel. It is, of course, your cornerman Take Aimz here, and we are joined by a very special guest who I'm going to introduce to you now. This is, of course, Sporting Icons. I want to thank Sporting Icons for your time. How are you doing, Sporting?
I'm good. Thanks very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you on. Myself and Sporting, we met at the recent Lewis Ritson card against Robbie Davis Jr. Got talking to the fella, really nice guy. Was very helpful in passing on some advice, and obviously was very willing as well to collaborate with me on this stream. And I thought, what better time to collaborate than on the cusp of an event, Wilder versus Fury 2, a rematch to end all rematches, as they say, one of the biggest in the last 50 years. Let's start, of course, with our reaction to the first fight, and specifically our reaction to the 12th round. So I'm going to recall what happened, at least what was happening to me in the 12th round when I saw Tyson Fury go down. So I had my friends round, and it was 5 a.m. and we were knackered, somewhere on the verge of falling asleep, because it'd been one of those stories that, unless you look at the 9th round, which obviously Tyson Fury was dropped in, not much actually happened, and Tyson Fury looked like he was sailing to a points victory. Then that shot came, that left hook, the right hand, the left hook, he hit the canvas, and I got up off my seat. I had both my hands Home Alone-esque on my side of my cheeks, and I was like, no, oh my God, Tyson, no, get up. And I did not think that Fury would get up at that point. I was genuinely surprised. I was willing and shouting at my TV screen saying, Tyson, get up, Tyson, get up. I could not believe what I was seeing. My heart was beating. I was kind of shaking a little bit, and I saw Tyson get up, and I could not actually believe what I was seeing. Sporting, talk me through what had happened when you saw that right hook, left hand. Sorry, right hand, left hook, sorry.
Well, I was watching at the end of round 11, obviously, like a Ben Davison, he's there, he's smiling, and he's encouraging Tyson, saying, listen, you know what, you've got this fight in the bag. And I'm thinking, oh God, don't slip up now. Don't go in there, start trading, keep doing what you're doing. Make round 12 an absolute stinker if you ask me. And yeah, he went out there and decided to engage with him, got caught, went down, and I thought, oh hell, he's gone, he's out. He blew it. He's absolutely blew it. And of course, when he got up, I was like, I still wasn't quite sure if the referee was going to stop the fight or not, and thankfully he didn't. But even then, I thought, okay, I think Wilder's probably going to finish him off now. And the way that he came back as well was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, continue.
It kind of makes you wonder. I mean, you see a lot of people, they say how Fury quite clearly, he's got like an iron jaw and everything, and how he got up from a Wilder punch when most people go to sleep and everything, which is true, is fantastic. But I'm more worried about this rematch if Wilder lands on it earlier, because let's not forget, Wilder was also tied in that 12th round. How much mustard did he put on that shot?
And the most interesting thing as well, the cleanest shot that Wilder landed was actually the follow-up left hook, wasn't it? That he caught Fury with once he'd got up, and Fury seemed to. He's just done a recent interview with IFL TV saying that he just seemed like he just thought he was bulletproof and he could not be put down. But it seemed like it to me in those few kind of seconds. You only got 10 seconds. Let's forget about the nonsense about the count and blah blah blah. Was it 10 seconds or not? It was 10 seconds to the referee's count, 10 count as such. So Fury responded to the count. Jack Reese, obviously, he's got a lot of credit for allowing Tyson to continue. He said that he was going to let them, he's going to, either count the champion out or count the contender out as it was in that fight. We've not got an announcement just yet on who the referee is. It'll be interesting to see who's been picked for that fight. But let's move on to in terms of
I actually know who it is.
You know who it is?
Yeah, the referee is Kenny Bayless.
It's Kenny Bayless. Okay, very experienced referee is Kenny Bayless. How do you think he'll factor into the fight then, Sporting?
Well, I hope that we don't talk about him. To be honest with you, I hope that he just lets the fighters just do whatever they're going to do. Because for me, I always find that with a referee, if you're talking about the referee, then they've done a bad job. Likewise with the judges, I don't really know who the judges are. Maybe you do, but hopefully, again, they're pretty fair in this one. It's going to be 3 American judges.
Oh, 3 American judges.
Yeah, it's Glenn Feldman, Dave Moriarty, and Steve Weinsfield.
Oh, okay, they've done a lot of big fights. Like the three of them as a trio have done a lot of big fights. I think they didn't they do Canelo Golovkin, either one or two, or maybe even both of them. I think the last of those two come to mind. No, Adelaide Bird was in one of them, wasn't she?
Yeah.
But no, as a trio, they've done a lot of big fights. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. A lot has been said, obviously, with Tyson Fury. You know, he's now kind of built a bit of a name with himself in America, and he has that kind of maybe has that backing now, and he might end up getting the pick on the scorecards because of that. But speaking of picks, before I ask you who you've picked, Eddie Hearn, interestingly, has changed his pick when I've interviewed him. Obviously, I interviewed for Boxing News TV. I did an interview with him, and then Ben did as well. And in the interview with me, he picked Tyson Fury to get it on points, I believe. And then, because he'd heard something, and he's not alluded to what he's heard or who he's heard it from, he's since changed his pick from Tyson Fury to Deontay Wilder. My first question to you, Sporting, is have you changed your pick at any point? And then my second question to you is, why do you think Eddie Hearn had changed his pick?
Yeah, I mean, I change my mind all the time. Listen, let's be honest. This fight is Tyson Fury's to win, and it's his to lose. If he switches off and starts getting too comfortable, he'll get banged out. So yeah, I'll certainly change it, and I'll give Wilder a puncher's chance. But that's Wilder in all of his fights. He's always got a puncher's chance. When it comes to the boxing fundamentals, the boxing skills, he ain't even close to Tyson Fury, not even close. But as far as Eddie Hearn, I thought that was pretty bad of Eddie Hearn to say that, because he goes mad when people talk about rumours of Anthony Joshua in camp. So he shouldn't really be a bit two-faced from that point of view by saying, well, I've heard this about Tyson Fury. Now, whether or not he has heard anything is possible. I mean, everybody hears something. But it could be a case of he's trying to give Wilder a false sense of security in this one. So then he goes in there with a specific game plan, thinking Tyson Fury's injured. Has he injured his shoulder? Has he injured his hand? Has he injured his ankle? As quite a few rumours are going around. So Wilder could be going in there, swinging for the fences, and before you know it, he's getting pinged around. The game plan's out the window. Fury cruises on points. So it could be down to Eddie Hearn talking about that just to sidetrack Deontay Wilder in the hope that Tyson Fury wins.
Playing a little bit of his own mind games, maybe Eddie Hearn is in Deontay Wilder. That could be to do with the belief that Eddie Hearn holds that essentially the easier fight to make for him in terms of for his fighter that he manages, Anthony Joshua, would be Tyson Fury, with him coming out with the win, as opposed to Deontay Wilder. We all know the problems that were having been had by both sides of the camp in making the fight the first time around. Obviously, the offers that were flung back and forth, and you know, we got the 50 million, show us the 50 million, where's the evidence? No one wants to come do it here, come do it there. It didn't happen the first time round, and that might be something that's playing into Eddie Hearn's mind and trying to put in a little bit of a seed of doubt as well. But there is this kind of information that's been leaked or not leaked, whether it's true or not true, which is that Tyson Fury's had some sort of injury. Do you believe that?
He went to the Conor McGregor fight, didn't he?
And he was supposed to be, he was supposedly limping or something.
That's it. So possibly. Now I know that there's been like a lot of pictures leaked of Tyson Fury with a bruised ankle and holding his ankle, but again, that holding the ankle, that was from that staged WWE thing. And the bruising of the ankle was back in 2016 when he pulled out the Vladimir Klitschko rematch, when he injured his ankle. So the pictures, no. That's not true at all. But when I've seen Tyson Fury walking in that yesterday, he seemed absolutely fine. So as far as the ankle goes, I think he's okay. But even if he's not, I mean, Tyson Fury, 50%, in my opinion, beat Wilder first time round. So even a slightly improved Tyson Fury, if he's going to be carrying a knock or two, it'll be no surprise, because most fighters go into the ring injured anyway. You know, they've been through 2-3 months of camp. They're going to be sore. They're going to be aching. So I'm not really concerned about it. My only real concern is his trainer.
Okay.
And the tactics. That's my only real concern about it.
We'll get into that in a moment. I just think with Eddie Hearn, obviously no one's been able to get out kind of what he's heard, and it could literally be anything, like you said, it could literally be just mind games. If we were to take Eddie Hearn on face value here, and he's heard something from inside the camp that's changed his mind. That is quite concerning. And like you said, fighters rarely ever come into a fight 100%. And like you said, again, I agree with you. Tyson Fury the first time around wasn't the best Tyson Fury we've ever seen. He was obviously coming off a long layoff, having the 2 fights beforehand, which tysonfury and the other fellow who escapes my mind weren't any such kind of competition for him. But it is kind of concerning, especially when you have a mega fight. If you were to take it on face value, that a fighter of Tyson Fury's caliber, who's looking to take on a puncher of Deontay Wilder's caliber, isn't 100%, and that might factor into it again if you take Eddie Hearn on face value. It could be the cut issue as well, which is something massive. There's a lot of concerns around the cut and whether it holds or not. There's supposed to be the information that Tyson Fury hasn't allowed any headshots at any point in the lead up to the fight in terms of sparring. And do you think that the cut could potentially play a factor into the fight?
If he was fighting anybody else other than Wilder, I'd say yes. Because Wilder, while he does have a good jab, let's be honest, he does, but he doesn't use it. So I'm not too concerned about him jabbing at or pouring at Tyson Fury's cut. Because he's not that kind of fighter. He doesn't do that. Wilder, if he hits you and knocks you out, that's his game plan. That's what he does. So the cut, I'm not concerned about the cut at all. Maybe if Tyson Fury goes to grab him, then maybe a clash of heads potentially. But as far as that cut's concerned, no, I'm not worried about that at all. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like Wilder's fights, they seem on the whole they're pretty clean. There's not a lot of clinching. There's not a lot of kind of headbutts going in, and a lot of grabbing the arms and such with Wilder. Where it's not clean is Wilder's style, where he kind of wings his way in. So on the outside of it, it seems that hopefully, at least from Tyson Fury's perspective, that the cut won't play a factor. I've been chopping and changing with my picks. I've kind of settled on Tyson Fury winning a unanimous decision on the scorecards, I think, as well. Like I said, with Tyson Fury now being set in the UK, set in the US for the future, I think that plays a factor in it. The question I want to ask you is, you give Wilder a puncher's chance. Do you think in that sense it's not actually a 50-50 like people are saying it? It's actually something more like, maybe how I see it, it's a kind of 90-10, 80-20 fight, in that Wilder just has to land. Everything else is in pretty much Tyson Fury's favour.
Yeah, I think so. I think with Tyson Fury, as I said before, this is his fight to lose. And probably 6-7 months ago, Peter Fury, he was trying to get Huey to get the Wilder fight.
Oh, right.
And Peter's reasoning being was that Wilder is a boxer's dream. Because when it's not all he's got, he doesn't just have a big right hand, but that's the one that you need to be careful of. So with Tyson Fury, when you look back at, say, him fighting Vladimir Klitschko also had a devastating right hand. He had an amazing left hook. His ring savvy was absolutely phenomenal. And he handled Vladimir Klitschko quite comfortably. So you would think with Wilder, who is not even close to a Vladimir Klitschko, he should better handle Wilder quite comfortably. But the problem is that Fury switches off. Okay, and when Fury switches off, because Wilder has his habit of making his opponents feel comfortable, like, well, this is really easy, and they start relaxing, then boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is my worry for Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury does switch off. But as far as percentages go, yeah, I'll probably say that Fury probably, an 80% on, surely.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see this as being a 50-50. I think maybe people have put a lot of credence into Wilder's X-Factor right hand being the kind of equalizer in terms of the measures of odds. But essentially, this is one of those traditional boxer versus puncher fights. And in a traditional sense, the boxer always beats the puncher. And having had those 12 rounds previous, having had the look of Deontay Wilder, who doesn't really change at all. Yes, he will have had more of a game plan to look around Deontay Wilder himself as well. He won't really change all that much. So it's in, like you said, I think it's Tyson Fury's to lose coming into this fight, and he'll have to make sure he's spot on. But let's look away from the action inside the ring, and let's look at the situation with pay-per-view. First of all, what I want to ask you is, this has got a lot of traction in terms of selling and promotion, both here and in America. Do you believe that the pay-per-view buys will, one, reach 2 million like Bob Arum seems to be predicting? And then two, what do you think the actual figure it will reach in terms of pay-per-view buys?
American pay-per-views.
Yes, American.
It won't do 2 million. Not even close. It won't even break the million. Now, I know Bob Arum's reasoning because Fox Sports, they did put out a couple of promos for it during the Super Bowl and college football and whatever else, which does get a hell of a lot of views. But the thing is, people who are watching those, they're football fans. They're not necessarily boxing fans. And Wilder, he's not a draw. He can't sell out a phone booth. He's a terrible ticket seller. He's certainly not a pay-per-view fighter. We've seen that with the figures with Ortiz. And the first fight with Tyson Fury, where it only done 325,000, that was pretty poor, really. But I do think it will do better. My figure will probably be 5.5.
Okay.
I think it'll do 500,000, maybe 600,000 at push with the combined ESPN and Fox Sports together.
What do you so you're saying around that figure? I actually think it could reach around 1 million. Might fall short maybe by 100,000 or so, but I actually seem to think it would reach 1 million. I think I put a lot of credence and value into the Super Bowl and the amount of money they put in advertisement wise. Whether that does obviously then translate into pay-per-view wise is another thing, but I think that's set up for such a possibility that could reach 1 million. I think Tyson Fury, what he's done with the WWE stepping into the ring on the pay-per-views, who and themselves have actually since moved from their TV to I think Fox. They're now on Fox as well. So Tyson's had that publicity as well, and it wasn't just a one-off. He was there for 3 or 4 couple of times, and then did the fight with Braun Strowman as well over in Saudi Arabia. I think Tyson has marketed himself very well. Obviously, Deontay Wilder, like you said, hasn't been able to do that. But I think, at least from a casual perspective, I believe that the promos and such that they've done might be able to be enough to grab them the first round, especially with that little kind of 5-10 second bite of Tyson Fury getting up like the Undertaker. I think that will grab people. So maybe we might see a reach of a 1 million, but we'll soon find out, won't we? What I'd like to ask you in terms of pay-per-view as well, and people in the chat as well as people start to populate, is do you feel that the rise in pay-per-view price over in the UK is warranted? Do you see it as value for money, that $24.95 price, Sporting?
It is, but I suppose like anything, it doesn't matter whether it's £25 or £10. If you've got it, then why not? If you don't have it, then £10 is a lot of money, isn't it? And £25 is a lot of money if you don't have it. But it's a way of milking the fans. I mean, for me, I don't agree that a fight abroad that's not within our time zone should be pay-per-view. I don't care whether it's Fury, Josh, or whoever. So no, I don't agree that it should be pay-per-view, but it is what it is, and people who are saying that they're unhappy with it, I get it, but if you're really unhappy with it, don't buy it. I mean, nobody's forcing anybody to buy anything. But I mean, going back to it, because you mentioned about Tyson Fury doing the WWE thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's certainly going to help, and I do think that it's Tyson Fury who will bring the numbers to this event. I mean, the tickets, when I last checked a couple of weeks ago, were doing absolutely awful. But hopefully, and while my estimate may be between 500,000 and 600,000, I hope you're right. I hope it does do over 1 million. I really hope it does, because I don't want to be hearing any more about Eddie Hearn saying, "Oh well, you guys did poor pay-per-view numbers, rah. This is why you're not getting 50% with Joshua." I don't want to hear that. I just want to see the undisputed fight, right? So I hope that it does do well. But as far as the price, £25 for 5 o'clock in the morning ring walk, I think that's pretty unfair. I know people say, but in America it's $75, $85, $100, whatever. Right? Okay, well that's their choice. That's not up to us, is it? And they're watching it within their own time zone. For us, we're not. We're having to either stay up and watch it or wake up early and watch it. Either way, your Sunday's going to be ruined, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Mine is. I've set up a good sleeping pattern, and now it's going to be ruined because obviously I'll end up being live streaming for it. I think I'll wake up at 3, and then as soon as that fight ends, I'll summarize and go straight to bed. Now, what I want to ask you is, like, obviously we've had this $24.95 this £5 kind of increase. The first question I want to ask and delve into this a little bit deeper is, for the first time around, purely on round 1 to round 12, did you think you got value for money at that £25 price mark?
Well, for
the first time round.
Oh, for the Wilder Fury one.
Yeah.
First one.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was £20 then, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That one was. It's weird, right? Because if we were to be honest about it, if you take out the spectacular scenes of Fury getting dropped and then getting back up in round number 12, the fight overall was pretty plain.
Mm-hmm.
It was Fury doing what Fury does, making his opponent look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting because Tyson Fury shouldn't have been in the ring. That's why it was interesting. It was interesting to see, can Tyson Fury be anywhere even close to what he was in 2015 when he defeated Vladimir Klitschko? So there was a whole lot of questions. For me, and even his own dad was saying that we don't think that Fury is ready because he fought Francesco Pianetta and then went over to America. Wilder should have knocked him out easily. And I do feel, and I'll stand by it, if you'd have put Joshua in with Tyson Fury on December the 1st, if you'd have put Dillian Whyte in there with Tyson Fury, both of these guys would have knocked Fury spark out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So for Wilder not to have done it, it made it interesting, and it was interesting because we all knew that even with a depleted Tyson Fury after everything that he went through, Wilder still couldn't outbox him. He still only had a puncher's chance, which is the same as this one. He still only got a puncher's chance. So value for money, sure. I felt like we all as fans, got ripped off in the end because of the judges' scorecards.
Yeah.
Again,
go on.
I mean, let's clarify for everybody listening here, and by the way, everybody listening, make sure you are subscribed to Take Aim. So make sure you click that subscribe button, by the way.
Appreciate it, fella.
Now, people say, okay, so Tyson Fury, he won 9 or 10 rounds. Wilder obviously definitely won round number 9, round number 12. So that's 10-8 rounds in favour of Wilder, correct?
Yep.
That's actually not true. Because when you get hit to the canvas, you lose 1 point. Wilder still had to win the rest of the round, which he didn't do. And the referee, he said that Tyson Fury got up and won the rest of the round. Most people watching say Tyson Fury got up and won the rest of the round. So therefore, Tyson Fury and Wilder, that round number 12 certainly was a draw. It wasn't a 10-8 round in favour of Wilder. And that's the official rules, and it annoys me that judges even forget that point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to pull up now quickly my scorecard now that you've mentioned it as to what it was. I'm just scrolling down. I've got it on my Instagram if anyone's interested. So I did obviously a live scoring, and I had it 114-112 in favour of Fury. That's in light of the 2 knockdowns on the scorecard. So I still had it going by 2 points to Tyson Fury. So just pulling back onto the terms of the value. So obviously you've stated your point on the first time round. Now going into the second time round, in light of the price increase of an extra $5 as it is, do you think before the pay-per-view that when you've watched it, you'll have got your value for money at $24.95?
If Fury wins, sure.
Right. If anything happens, as long as if Fury wins, you'll have got your value for money. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, if I know for a fact that Fury's going to win, I'll quite happy pay £100. I'm all right.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, £25. I mean, that depends on your finances, doesn't it? Everybody's finances is different. I mean, luckily for me, I'm okay, and hopefully a lot of people are as well, where they can afford it. But I mean, I'm not too worried about the £25. I think £25 is good value. I think it would have been more value had they have done it and when they had an immediate rematch. I think Wilder taking on Brazil, then taking on Ortiz, 2 fights that nobody wanted to see. Fury taking on Tom Schwartz after a Wallen, 2 fights nobody wanted to see. 14 months has passed by. It's lost that little bit of luster. Had they have done it straight away, they could have charged anything and people would have paid for it.
So let's look at this in a wider scope then. We have Tyson Fury, the lineal champion, undefeated. He's had the belts before. He's come back. He rised up off the canvas in the first time round, which left an inconclusive answer. Obviously, I agree with you. Fury won for me as well, but there's an inconclusive answer, at least on the scorecards, and as the history books go, Deontay Wilder, one of the heaviest hitting punchers of all time, undefeated as well, has a blemish on his record, has a claim himself, has the WBC Championship, and the claim himself that he beat Fury as he sees it. What does it say that a fight like this can't reach 1 million in 2020 when boxing is supposed to be in this boom right now? What does it say for boxing as a sport?
Well, you see, there's plenty of factors on this one. I think a lot of people, they believe that Wilder has been carrying around Fury's belt for the past 14 months.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are looking on Wilder as a paper champion, and it's unfortunate that we didn't get a definitive, true result in the end. But listen, it is what it is. But as far as now, I mean, we're talking lineal, we're talking WBC, we're talking Ring Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But again, do people consider Wilder and Fury to be number one?
Definitely one of three.
I mean, I personally don't, but of course, I don't speak for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, I believe that number one is Joshua, number two is Dillian Whyte, number three is Tyson Fury, potentially number four is Wilder.
Okay.
But again, you see, when you look at it, I mean, if you put Wilder, Fury, or Joshua in with Dillian Whyte, would you put your house on any of those guys beating Dillian Whyte? You wouldn't, would you?
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for all of them. I wouldn't be confident in any of them, for sure. Yeah. I just think... Go on, continue.
But the selling point is this is number one versus number two, and the winner of this one is going to be the legitimate number one in the world, because the Ring Magazine is going to be on the line. That's what people are pointing to, the Ring Magazine. But when you look at Wilder's complete resume, he's only fought one person in the top 10 of the Ring Magazine and beat it, which was Luis Ortiz. Tyson Fury has only fought one in the top 10 of the Ring Magazine in his entire history, which was Vladimir Klitschko. Joshua's fought and defeated 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So how can this be number one versus number two just because the Ring Magazine's on the line? And I think that's what a lot of people are looking at, saying, yes, it's an interesting fight, and of course we want a definitive winner in this one, whichever side that you are, but are you legitimately number one? You've still got to fight Anthony Joshua at bare minimum. Regardless of the fact that Joshua's taken a loss.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a shame that if this fight weren't to hit 1 million, with what's in play, with what's on the line, and this being the heavyweight division, what's supposed to be the signature division for boxing as well, for in light of the promotion and what happened last time round, and obviously the questions that are going on, like you're saying, with who's number one and who's waiting for them as well, Dillian Whyte as well. I think it's a shame, and I think it kind of says a lot that maybe boxing isn't quite going to reach the heights as it has been. Like Floyd Mayweather's the last person to kind of hit that million buys barrier, isn't he? And he's now since left the sport, so it's an audience that seems to be kind of dwindling in a sense, and we'll see what it says actually when it comes to I think if it gets to around 800, 900, then that might say that the potential to hit that barrier and break that barrier back again of 1 million is there. But if it doesn't reach 1 million, I think that's quite a stark kind of harsh reality of where boxing is right now, especially in America. I think over here in the UK, if this was over here in the UK prime time, we'd be looking at great numbers, at least in comparison to what America has. But we'll soon find out that question. I think the last thing on pay-per-view is, like you said, you think it's going to hit around the 500,000 mark. Do you think something will be happening in the press conference just to raise that number a little bit of a commotion happening soon enough?
I think it needs to. But we know, because I was criticising their 2 press conferences, saying how lackluster they were. And maybe because we've been sport, because Tyson Fury, he brings entertainment, he would trash his opponent and whatever, and Wilder went into virtual meltdown last time. And I was disappointed with it, but Tyson Fury said about a week or so ago that he was told to watch what it is that he says, because he's in association with Disney. Okay, so he's having to calm it down a bit, which I think is going to hurt it. But one thing that I forgot to mention about when he said about the pay-per-view prices. Yep. The prices are very high in America. Okay, and the standard of living in America is not too much different to here. Now, we're in an era now where people have Fire Stick, and why would you pay $75, $85 when you can just Fire Stick the crap out of it for free?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for us here in the UK, it's a bit different. 20, 25 pound is not really going to break the bank for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
$75, $85 would. So when you've got capabilities on the Fire Stick, that's what's going to hurt it. I mean, I fully expect a couple of million people to be watching it, but not necessarily paying for it.
Yeah, I think it's on Fight TV as well at a lower price. I think you can find it as well. And like you said, you don't even have to pay for anything. You can find things on the net, which obviously I don't condone. I think obviously you want to give the fighters back who give us so much to the sport. Let's move on to another topic which I want to talk about, which is our game plans. Now, before we get into the game plans, to give ourselves a bit of time to kind of think about game plans, I'll just give a shout out to those in the chat. Shout out to Scarcey INI in the chat, Last King of Scotland, G Lung, Steve Wellings, AA Boxing and Blunts, Matthew D'Souza, Charlie Asbury, who's asking for a shout out to Sporting Icons. He loves your videos. Charlie Asbury, someone who competes. He said he's been on the channel before as well. He fights himself. I think he said he's had a couple of fights on YouTube as well. So if he wants to send us the link and we can check out his fights, that'd be great as well. Matthew D'Souza in the chat as well. Chonzi Gaming. There's been a couple of questions as well, and let's get to a couple of them whilst we're here. G Lung is asking, will we see more Wilder uppercuts, or will he stick to spamming the cross? We'll get into that in our game plans. Steve Wellings from Boxing Asylum, shout out to the Boxing Asylum. Wilder could win enough rounds to take it on the cards. After the first fights from American podcasts I heard, thought Wilder had done enough in many of the early rounds. Will Wilder use more left hooks to target Fury's cut tissue area? What do you think of that? Will Wilder be looking to target that area?
No, Wilder would just be looking to knock him out. That's what he'll be doing. I mean, well, by the way, shout out to Charlie Asbury. So that's me one of the shout outs. So big up to Charlie.
For sure, big up Charlie.
The Last King of Scotland, I had to ban him because he's an absolute knob. But anyway, hopefully he's alright with you.
Yeah, he's alright.
But anyway, going back to the cut, I don't think that we're really going to see Wilder throw the jab too much. I think he's going to be patient. He's going to lose a few rounds, and he's going to try and do what he's done with Luis Ortiz. Just wait for the opportunity. Fury get comfortable, let the right hand go. I don't agree with Fury talking about how he's going to try and go for him. Fury is an excellent boxer, but he's not a predator. Okay, so if he tries to change it up a little bit, I think no. But I think with opening up the cut, I mean, it could happen if a misjudged punch comes in from Wilder, because Wilder can't aim for anything. You know, I mean, he really can't. His left hand is pretty good, but he's nervous about letting it go in case the right hand comes around the side and knocks him out, because he ain't great around the wrist, because we've seen Wilder on Bambinex quite a few times. And whilst Fury's not known as a massive puncher, he's still a pretty big puncher. Yeah. So, no, I wouldn't worry about the cut too much.
Final question before we get to our game plans. G-Lung asking, who will have the better ring walk, though?
Oh, well, Fury, of course. Fury.
I quite like Wilder's, the mask, and I think apparently he's going to just tweak that mask a little bit and come in with a new ring walk. He looked a little bit...
He looked like he was wearing a damn tiara.
Yeah, he did. Fury obviously had the living in America and also the Mexican ring walk out last time around. What do you think he'll do this time around?
I'm not too sure. It'll be something to do with America, won't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. I think that Fury, he'll come out with something. Fury is just an entertainer. Yeah, that's what he is. Wilder, yeah, of course he'll wear a mask. I fully expect him to probably wear a gimp mask, to be honest. but yeah, I mean, I don't really think too much about ring walks, to be honest with you. For what they are, I really don't. But I think Fury probably put on the better one.
Fair. So what we're going to do now, whilst we just give us a little extra time to think of our game plans, I'm going to transition into a clip, and this is Asgi talking about how he feels Tyson Fury should approach his game plan coming in the ring against Deontay Wilder. So whilst we play this clip and have a little listen to this, smash the like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We're going to transition over to the clip right now. Here's Asgi on his thoughts on Tyson Fury's game plan coming into the fight. First of all, the revelation that Tyson Fury wants to press the action, put Deontay Wilder on the back foot as a way of negating that right hand. What do you think of that tactic, Asgi?
Okay, when I first thought of it, I thought suicide because why would you want to step in the firing line?
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, you got to think what he's thinking is when the guy, for him to land that shot, he's got to get in close. So you've got to get in there just to push him away, give him a blow, just to slow him right down.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that's all he is thinking. Because he shouldn't be training, he shouldn't be standing there toe to toe with probably the hardest puncher in heavyweight history. So I hope he goes back to the Ben Davison style, keeps it long, bosses his head off. I don't care how boring it seems, just get the result, get the win, and move on.
So, yeah, it seems like a totally different tactical setup and game plan from the first one, which was obviously governed by Ben Davison and Tyson Fury, which in essence worked so well, apart from essentially what was 2 punches in the fight. So just to confirm there, you'd rather see Tyson Fury take that game plan, adapt it a little bit more, and see those 12 rounds through.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I would do. It was a brilliant tactical plan from Ben Davison, and that is the only formula to beat Wilder. You don't want to go toe to toe with him. But listen, everybody thought Muhammad Ali was crazy when he fought George Foreman and actually sat on the ropes. But today's day and age, referees are trigger happy. They see you're not responding, probably stop it. Why take the risk? Don't give the Americans any advantage or any reason to stop the fight. This is what I'm saying. If it was in England or wherever, anywhere else in the world, you could argue it. But in America, against their fighter, promoted by Al Heyman, why would you risk it?
All right, we are back, and that was obviously Asgi telling us that the only way to beat Deontay Wilder is implementing and tweaking the Ben Davison game plan. That's obviously being herky-jerky, which is what Tyson Fury is best at. Slipping, avoiding, staying out of range, popping out pity-patter jabs, then getting out of range and resetting and doing it again. Do you think, Sporting Icons, that is the only way to beat Deontay Wilder?
No. Wilder ain't great around the whiskers. We've seen him on Bambi legs a few times. But I do think that with Tyson Fury, for him to improve his game plan, he needs to put a bit more mustard behind his shots. Don't just reach out the jab just for the sake of doing it. Put a bit of thing into it so Wilder thinks twice about engaging. Because what Fury's going to have to do, while I don't believe he's going to go for the knockout, I mean, if he does, I'll be quite worried, to be honest with you. But he needs to make Wilder think that he is. That he could actually be lining him up for it, so Wilder's more hesitant about coming in. So just tweak it up a little bit, just put a little bit more muscle on his shots, be a bit more smarter, as in stay switched on, stop prattling around, putting your hands behind your back, sticking your tongue out, because that, first of all, that doesn't win rounds and it doesn't impress judges.
You don't think that's kind of something that Tyson Fury should continue with, because it does kind of, it wastes seconds and it kind of frustrates Wilder, at least I think in my point of view. Do you not agree?
Yeah, it can do, but Wilder knows he's going to do that. All opponents know he's going to do that, but I think the judges don't like it. I think the Mexican judge was potentially looking or didn't like Fury for doing that, which is why he gave Wilder the first fight. So if I was Fury, I'm not saying don't do it at all. I'm saying tone it down a bit. Yeah.
I think it's difficult with someone like Fury because he's just one of those. It seems on the. So this is kind of my game plan for Fury. It's difficult to kind of gauge a game plan because you never know with Fury. It seems that he's kind of one of those people that you think just kind of ad libs it the whole way through. So you don't really know if, even if you have a game plan, if he kind of sticks to it. I think he said there before, like before in fights, he's like, there might be game plans, but whether I do it in the ring or whether I implement it is another thing. So for Tyson Fury, for me, like I said, he's coming in a stone heavier. It seems to be the kind of consensus is. We won't find that out until he steps on the scales. I think he kind of needs to pull a few tricks from Vladimir Klitschko in his kind of reign at the top of the heavyweight division, where he kind of not the the jab and the 1-2 down the pipe, but literally kind of tying up his opponents, laying on them, putting on his weight, making them feel their weight. And then working in, being a bit cheeky with a couple of punches in on the inside as well, until you're then told to break. And that's the amendment I'd put in alongside the Ben Davison game plan, because that kind of holding will make the, like Ben Davison says, the 3-minute rounds, 2-minute rounds, and then you can do your pitter-patter stuff. So if the weight becomes a factor later on with Tyson Fury being tired, he won't have put the punch output all that much as well, because he's been tying up his opponent. So that's what I'd see for Tyson Fury. Would you like to, I know you've obviously given your comments there a little bit more, would you like to add anything further with your game plan for Tyson Fury?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that Fury shouldn't come in heavier than what he done in the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you see, we have to remember, while he was there or thereabouts the same kind of weight when he fought Wilder the first time as to what he was against Vladimir Klitschko, the weight doesn't mean too much. When he fought Klitschko, he had more muscle mass on him. With Wilder, he had more fat mass on him.
Mm-hmm.
So the weight is counteracted with what muscle is he carrying. If he's carrying fat, no, he certainly shouldn't be coming in heavier. If anything, he probably needs to come in a bit lighter. But if they're saying what is true, apparently it's true, where he's more toned down now, he's lost like a lot more body fat and gained a bit more muscle, which is making him a bit heavier, I'm okay with that.
And let's move on to Deontay Wilder. For me, I think there's two kind of schools of thought. One's that Deontay Wilder needs to do more of what he does and throw more punches, or that Deontay Wilder needs to be patient and then land the right hand like he did against Luis Ortiz. Now, for me, I actually think Deontay Wilder needs to step up his output. I think that he needs to throw more punches and not wait for Tyson Fury and not wait for that right hand, because if you wait for that right hand and wait for that special moment to land that right hand, the rounds will have gone and you'll find yourself in a similar situation in round 12 where you've not landed anything and you're looking for that Hail Mary like he got the last time round. Fair enough to him, but you might not get it the second time round against a Tyson Fury who's apparently match fit. So I think for me, Deontay Wilder needs to throw more, put Tyson Fury on the back foot and try to find that range and then land that, but he can't rely on being patient and landing that right hand. How do you see Deontay Wilder winning this fight?
I think he has to let Fury do what he's going to do, make him feel comfortable, because Fury, he's going to do what he's going to do anyway, and Wilder, he isn't going to be able to manipulate certain steps, because he did that with Luis Ortiz, which is how he caught him, but he ain't going to be able to do that with Fury. For him to get Fury, he's going to have to make him feel comfortable, or if necessary, come out at the start of the fight gunning for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just go for it. But if he can't get Fury out that early after he's throwing everything at him, I would fully expect that Tyson Fury to stop him later on as Wilder starts to wean down. But I think probably what's best for Wilder to do is not worry about the rounds, because he's never going to outbox him, so why even try? Be patient, wait for your opportunity, fight dirty. I mean, Wilder, listen, he fights dirty anyway. If you notice, he always punches on the back of the head. Which is illegal. He does that every single fight. And he did that to Fury the first time around as well. So pull out dirty tricks, you know. I mean, if necessary, get a warning and hit Fury in the plums, you know. Because ultimately, that's going to help him as the fight goes along. Yeah. Obviously, if you do it more than like twice, you're going to get like a point in that dropped. But the point is that if you do it once, you get a warning. You need to slow Fury down. I would say for most fighters to beat Fury, you've got to go to the body. But Wilder's not really a body puncher. If he could throw to the body, that's really going to help him, because Wilder very, very heavy-handed, and you get hit in the gut by Wilder, you're going to know about it, and it's going to slow you down. So he needs to try and slow Fury down. That's what I would do.
That's something that Otto Wallin did. Obviously, he opened the cut and he then capitalized on the cut as well. He actually targeted the body quite a few times as well against Tyson Fury, which Tyson Fury didn't like. It's a fight I watched back a couple of days ago, and I noticed that from Otto Wallin. Like he said, if Deontay Wilder decides to use that power, that right hand, and target the body, then Tyson Fury could be seen to be slowing down. And Charlie Asbury saying in the comments, I think Wilder is going to come out all guns blazing and gas out. Then I believe Fury will capitalize and box his way to a decision or late stoppage. I just want to add to Tyson Fury's my thoughts on Tyson Fury's game plan. I think much like what Anthony Joshua did against Andy Ruiz in the second fight, Anthony Joshua made Andy Ruiz feel the power and feel the power early, so that behind that boxing is the hurt as well. So I think Tyson Fury will need to do that, and he's obviously went to the Kronk gym. He's looking to sit down in his shots more. I think that's going to be a key point, a key element that Tyson Fury will need to establish coming into the fight on Saturday. So let's move on to the next topic, which is, will Fury be able to get a decision on the scorecards? Like we've mentioned, 3 American judges and American referee. Last time around, it seemed he won, but didn't get the decision on the scorecards, one card being wide for Wilder. Has anything changed now for Fury to potentially secure it on the cards? We've alluded to a little bit earlier, but what's your opinion, Sporting?
Yeah, I think it can, because now I think people are going to be looking at the judges a lot more. If it does go to the scorecards, of course. So, I think that the judges are going to be quite wary about the eyes on them. I mean, I'm not too concerned about all of them being American as well, because if you notice that most judges, they don't tend to favour the home fighter anyway. So they're trying to show that they're not being biased. So this may actually play into Tyson Fury's advantage. But for Fury to win on points, he's on the right network with ESPN. Obviously, Bob Arum's going to have like a lot of say in the judges and that as well. And yeah, I'm not too concerned about it. If it's a close fight, they may end up giving it like another draw. But if
how
Fury,
bad would that be?
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah.
That would really suck. But there's no way that, well, unless Wilder has a complete change, that he's going to be able to win too many rounds against Fury. So as long as Fury doesn't hit the canvas in this fight, he should win quite comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. Charlie Asprey in the chat saying, I don't trust American judges. They're very biased in my opinion. That's the kind of thing, like, because of what happened in the first fight, I think the fans on the outset maybe don't have that trust in the judges. And on the outset, on the face of it, 3 more American judges and an American referee, you'd think, just looking at it, odds are stacked in Wilder's favour being the American. That's just how it looks on the outset. But hopefully we were able to be... yeah, and like Last King of Scotland is saying as well, UK judges are no better these days as well. That's got to be put through, and I'm not saying it on a UK versus American kind of perspective. It just looks on the face of it like it's stacked in Wilder's favour in terms of the fight from the outset. But hopefully, I'll look at it as straight as it is, and I'll put my faith in the judges to make sure that when it comes down to it after the final bell, whenever it is, that they will have made the right decision, and that's what we need, I think, because. What does it say about the state of boxing when a fighter still has to worry about not getting a deserved decision after the final bell? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Look at Canelo fights. If he's going to be fighting Billy Joe, Billy Joe's going to have to win 9 or 10 rounds just to get a draw, which is worrying. And you see, this is the thing, because the judges, the referees, they're all employed by the sanctioning body. In this case, it will be the WBC. So, if the WBC are unhappy about a decision, they'll contest it. If they're okay with the decision, they're not going to do anything about it, because the WBC don't have to report to anybody. But to go back to it, I think that it doesn't matter what country you're in, you're always going to get biases, and depend on who's fighting. Again, let's look at Tyson Fury's last fight against Otto Wallin. Had that been anywhere else, do you think that fight would not have been stopped? So. But for me, I'm not worried about the judges. I'm more worried about, can Tyson Fury get through to the 12 rounds? That's what I care about. And then I'll worry about the judges after.
I mean, like you said with the Canelo thing, it's one of those things, like I championed Golovkin for so many years, and they say about with the third fight, do I want to see a third fight with Golovkin? No, because the thing is Golovkin going to knock him out? No. Is Golovkin going to get this decision on the scorecards? No. So do I want to see Canelo versus Golovkin on that basis? No. And that's kind of the thought process I have with Canelo fights now. Is his opponent going to knock him out? No. Is he going to get the decision on the scorecards? No. So it's kind of like when it comes to thinking about the state of boxing, it kind of warps it a little bit and kind of puts a little bit of a bad taste in myself in my mouth. Sorry, thinking about it before the fight happens, with obviously Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury transitioning it to that. You know, will the scorecards reflect the right decision of the fight, at least in my eyes, or what people think? I'm not sure. It's just something that I have to put my faith in and hope that, like I said before, come that final bell, that the right decision is made. So let's move on to another topic. The winner against Anthony Joshua. Like, I don't think it's not going to happen next. It seems to be that they're both contractually given a rematch clause. First of all, in terms of thinking about this fight, I want to give you a buy or sell. So you buy one, it definitely happens, but that means you have to sell one and the other one, and that one you sell never happens. Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, or Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, which would you buy and sell on?
I'd buy the Fury Joshua for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Why?
We ain't gonna see it though.
Mm.
We won't see it. It's not about that there'll be another rematch.
Mm-hmm.
We won't see it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't gonna see Fury versus Joshua or Wilder versus Joshua until at least mid to late 2021.
Mm-hmm.
That being because Wilder Fury, okay, so they're going to fight this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to fight again towards the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then what do you think the winner has to do? He's going to have to fight Dillian Whyte.
Dillian Whyte, yeah.
So do you think that Eddie Hearn will push Dillian Whyte to the side to make undisputed? Or do you think that he'll put Dillian Whyte, fight whoever's got the belt, in the hope that Dillian Whyte wins, so therefore two of his guys, Dillian Whyte versus Anthony Joshua, for undisputed? It's pretty obvious. So unfortunately, I know it's going to annoy a lot of people, but we ain't going to see Wilder Fury against Joshua anytime soon.
Do you think that fight's easier made then, or more likely to happen if Fury loses then against Anthony Joshua?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And another thing which has got a lot of traction, controversy, is where does the fight happen? Saudi Arabia, if the big mega fight happens. What's your thoughts on? It seems to be that the way things are going is that the good fights will happen on American soil and British soil, but those elite fights will now go over to Saudi Arabia because that's where the money is. What's your opinion on that?
See, I hear fighters and I hear fans and that as well, promoters, managers, saying that fighters should go where the money is and everything, which I agree, it's prize fighting. But the thing is, these guys are already minted. They've got plenty of money. So when I hear Eddie Hearn saying how he's going to put the fight to Joshua and Fury, where you could earn 40 million each fight at Wembley, or go earn 100 million each in Saudi Arabia. My thing is this: first of all, it's not just 40 million. 40 million is a hell of a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's wrong with rewarding the UK fans? Because we know that Fury and Joshua, they're going to have a rematch clause anyway. So have the first one in the UK, earn your peanuts of 40 million, and then in the rematch, go do whatever you've got to do. Mm-hmm. Because for us, we've never had. It's a biased, selfish reason for sure, but we've never had two champions fight each other on British soil for undisputed. We've never had it. Mm-hmm. So why shouldn't we be allowed to have it? Because it's not like they're getting paid chump change. They're not getting paid chump change. Fight in the UK, then go fight in Saudi Arabia. You can go fight in the moon or Timbuktu for all I care in the rematch. But the first one, let's have it on UK soil.
Let's have it on UK soil. We've got. I'm gonna keep you till 9 o'clock, so we've got 4 minutes left of your time, Sport Icons. I want to thank you so much for giving up your time with us. So let's give our closing thoughts on what we think we'll see come Saturday, February 22nd. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. To our closing thoughts. I'll start with you, Sporting.
I think if Tyson Fury is switched on all the way through the fight, this would be a 12-0 victory for Tyson Fury. If he tries to go for the knockout, I can see Wilder countering him and knocking him out. So he needs to be very, very clever. But I am going to predict a Tyson Fury complete whitewash win.
Not a stoppage. I thought. Did I not see in your video you predicted a stoppage?
Yeah, I did, but
you changed.
Yeah. See, I change all the time with this one because I think that if Fury does go for the knockout, he can do it, and I'd love him to knock him out. I'd prefer it if he played safe first.
Yeah, I think in the heavyweight division, all things are in the realm of possibility. We've been taught that quite recently with Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, and I won't eliminate the possibility of Tyson Fury knocking down and knocking out Deontay Wilder. I won't eliminate the possibility of Deontay Wilder coming out and knocking out Tyson Fury in the first round, or any such kind of machination that you can think of. What I just think is, I believe Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. And do I think the best boxer in the heavyweight division should be able to contend with someone who just has a right hand and a left hook in essence, really? Yes, I do. I think I'll see Tyson Fury, like I said, putting the power in the first couple of rounds, making Deontay Wilder wary of the power, tying up his opponent, and sailing his way, essentially picking his spots and sailing his way essentially to a 12-round unanimous decision on the scorecards. And we'll see, hopefully, and the new and still WBC heavyweight champion and lineal champion Tyson Fury beating Deontay Wilder, and hopefully he beats him convincingly enough that there won't be the need for a third fight. Deontay Wilder won't need that, and we might be a step closer to one face, one champion, one name. I want to thank Sporting Icons so much for joining on the stream. I appreciate you, and hopefully we can do something again in the future. We'll speak. Obviously, I'll drop you a couple of messages as well. Obviously, when the fight comes around, and I know I'll be bricking it when it actually happens as well. I'll be watching that, not calm at all. But thank you again, Sporting, for your time. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks very much for having me. Everyone listening, make sure you are clicking that subscribe button for Take Aim. Do it right now. Don't think about it. Do it.
Appreciate it, fella. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you. That was Sporting Icons. Appreciating him coming along. Let's get your thoughts as well as we kind of sum up everything that's happened here. Speaking with Sporting Icons, is obviously giving us time here in the last hour, speaking about Wilder versus Fury. It's a really exciting fight, actually. I think so, and I think like with the 24.95, I think that's a fair price. Come on, like two elite fighters in their prime. People might think Tyson Fury slipped a bit, but in his prime, both of them are. And it's a tightrope walk, isn't it? It's essentially it's a big fight and a tightrope walk where Tyson Fury at any point could get stopped, and he just has to one wrong step and you're falling off that tightrope as it is. That's one of those fight sort of styles that I really like. Obviously, again, boxer versus puncher. That's what it is in essence in the boxing ring, and that's why I think it's definitely warranted the 24.95. What's your opinions and thoughts on it? Yeah. So Charlie Asprey in the chat saying I would like to see Joshua fight at Watford's ground against Pulev. Thoughts, Charlie? I'm actually a Watford fan, so I'd love to see Anthony Joshua fight at Vicarage Road. I think he's a Watford fan as well, apparently. So it would be great to see a homecoming. I'd definitely be there if Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua fought at Vicarage Road against Pulev. It's just not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's going to be the two stadiums in the running are the Arsenal Stadium and the Tottenham Stadium. So yeah, unfortunately, it won't be Vicarage Road. It would be great to see AJ versus Fury at Wembley. That's the fight. It's like two Brits in Wembley versus a Brit and an American over in America or Saudi Arabia. Nah, I mean, at a push, if they're both to happen at Saudi Arabia, I'd still rather see AJ versus Fury. It's still a all British clash for all the marbles. It would be great to have that all heavyweight clash, that unification clash, to feature two British members. So I think definitely for me it's AJ Fury's as well. Let's see what you guys have been saying here. Gave you a shout here. Wilder versus White predictions. It's one of them. Like Wilder could easily knock out Dillian Whyte, but Dillian Whyte also could do something that we've very rarely seen done to Deontay Wilder, which is come in on the inside, working on the inside, and smother him. So it's one of those things. Like you could say that. I think I've seen in the comments that Dillian Whyte is tailor-made for Deontay Wilder. You never really know. He could land because Dillian Whyte does come forward, and Dillian Whyte he's got that guard, but he could end up getting caught with one. But he's got the stature as well. He's a lot more smaller. He could be able to get in the inside and work in on Deontay Wilder. But you never know, and it's still a fight I would love to see. Definitely would love to see. Hardcore Bernard, I just addressed that. You asked obviously if you could do a video. You said no, but did one with everyone else. It's not a case that I'm not willing to do a video with you. I'd planned with Sporting Icons well before I'd had my exam period. It was when we met in Newcastle to do a video, and we got round to it eventually. So I'd already had this planned. I hadn't been able to put anything else in my plans like you'd asked for to do a video with you, because I got my exam. So I've only dedicated really this time and Tyson Fury fight, the streaming for it for then. So that's in terms of answering your question. It's because this had been planned in the future and I've dedicated that time already. So in the future, yeah, if I'm free, not a problem. We can do a video. No worries about that. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Wilder coming out all blazing. I think Tyson Fury's actually addressed that, hasn't he? He's addressed that Deontay Wilder could come out in the first round and try like a racehorse and try and knock him out. And Tyson Fury's well prepared for that. I don't think we'll see that actually. I think we'll see both of them try and we'll just see a classic cagey first round. What Deontay Wilder not knowing what to do, just feeling out Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury kind of pumping out some jabs and things like that and being herky-jerky as per usual. I think that's what we'll see in the first round. UK judges are no better these days, mate. You're not wrong, Last King of Scotland, I know. It's just on the face of it. When you see it on the face of it, you just get worried, don't you? But we've had it in Britain, we've had it in America, we've had it in Germany. It's just a shame in total, whether UK, whether America, whether you're Germany, whatever it is, it's just a shame in general that a fighter can't get the decision they deserve on the scorecards. Press conference is tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, I think press conference is tomorrow. Judges have all vested interests or are paid off. And is CompuBox really trustworthy? CompuBox, I don't know. People have done breakdowns with CompuBox. I have no idea if CompuBox is trustworthy or not. I've looked into the breakdowns. I don't really put much... When CompuBox comes on, I don't really put much credence into it. I don't really look into it and put value into it. I just kind of think, oh, those are the numbers, okay? They don't really mean... They're literally just a statistic. I don't really put it into factoring in my decision on the fight. I literally go purely pretty much on the eye test. Do you think AJ vs Pulov will sell out the Emirates or White Hart Lane? No, I don't think it sells out either of them. It might come close, but I don't think it sells out either of them, actually. I'm going to wrap it up because it's 9 o'clock and I've got to get back to revision. It's great to have you guys in here. Great to have Sporting Icons joining. I will be streaming for Wilder vs Fury 2. Likely I'll be doing a wake up at 3 AM, start at 3 AM, and then stream up until the fight. It's been a pleasure to have you guys in here. Do I see a knockdown taking place? G-Lung, you know what? I do. I can see a knockdown for either of them. I see the knockdown that's more likely to happen is the knockdown of Fury by Wilder. I don't think I see a second knockdown. I think Fury will be well braced for that, especially a 12th round. Fury can't do the same thing again and get knocked down in the 12th round. He has to be proper switched on and not lose focus at all. But I do see one knockdown taking place, and I think that's likely to be Fury getting knocked down. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you so much again. Appreciate that. We had Sporting Icons on to preview Wilder vs Fury 2. We will be live at 3 AM on Saturday, so do please join me. Great to see you guys in here. Smash the like and subscribe if you're new. This has been Take Aims, forever your corner man. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.